Dirty Your Mind by Dead Palette.
If you've never been to a toga party, you hit a point in your life where you'll probably never be able to. Or so I thought, until I got roped into one while delivering pizza as a fully grown post-grad. The college I went to didn't have a Greek system, but I held out hope that maybe I'd get invited to another college's toga party. But that dream faded when I struggled to even make friends at my own college. And yet, when I did get pulled in to a true blue retro toga party, I was horrified at what I witnessed. It was a window into an alternate life where I did have that college experience. A life that I thought that I wanted. But after playing part in various assaults, committing a variety of crimes, and meeting the most manipulative person I've ever had the misfortune of crossing paths with, I saw that the grass isn't always greener on the other side. In point of fact, the grass was mostly dying, browned, and sun-kissed, a massive, unkempt lawn near a prestigious school where any and all real estate is at a premium. On all sides of this massive 4-story Roman-inspired frat house was a sea of empty beer cans, discarded clothing, and other party paraphernalia such as blow-up dolls and wooden paddles. The moon was bright and round, illuminating the many tripping hazards that led to the source of the pounding pop music. I exited my car with 2 insulated pizza delivery bags, in total holding 12 pizzas. Before I could approach the building, I was stopped by a gentleman that I profiled as a professor. Tall, lanky, eyes aged by youthful foolishness and hair grayed by the stress of power. He warned me, "I'd advise you to drop those pizzas off at the front porch, ring the doorbell, and run. There's nothing but trouble inside that building, young man." It's weird being called a young man when you don't feel young anymore, trapped in adulthood. Obviously, I'd rather be playing beer pong than be a slave to the pizza industrial complex. I approached the 3 customary red Greek letters above the front porch. It was triangle, weird-shaped Y, and M. You can tell I never associated with frat houses by my lack of Greek letter knowledge. Climbing up the steps in the early fall breeze was winding me a bit. I had been in better health since taking the pizza gig, but still, I could feel the winter coming in my bones. And hey, it was a lot of stairs. Probably one of those designs where the first floor you enter is actually the second floor. The building had Roman columns but New England-style bricks. Typical for a party house like this, more durable for adolescent idiocy. But the doors seemed like they were ripped from a 2,000-year-old wine cellar and planted in the Midwestern United States. With great reluctance out of fear of being teased by some drunk frat bro, I knocked on the door. A very wooden, very old-looking door. And waited. And knocked again. I did this a while, realizing the music was probably loud inside and the door seemed thick enough to prevent it from reverberating throughout the building. I couldn't find a bell, but at the same time I couldn't leave the pizza behind. That wasn't an option. Boom! The door flung open and what seemed to be a dead man dressed in a toga followed the path of the door, smacking his body on the ground. Who followed this togaed-up college student was a stunning and disturbing beauty dressed in a historically accurate toga, or at least not actual bedsheets. She had collarbones carved from marble, deep irises stabbed in from delicate chisels, and brown hair that flowed like notes becoming music. Her posture slumped and curved as if she was boxing a demon, and her cheeks blushed red with an eternal thirst. She was stunning and disturbing. I think I already mentioned that. Also, she held a can of Natty Light.
He was dead when he walked into my convivium.
She checked the pulse on his neck.
I mean, he's alive, just tucked out. got his humors all out of order. Not enough lead in the water these days. That's why women can't get pregnant anymore and men can't crush beer cans on their head. This is why I always get out and vote. Multiple times if time allows.
She then pounded back the rest of her beer and crushed the can on my head with one hand while grabbing one of the packages of pizza from me with the other. I had no clue how to react to what just happened to me. Ha ha, ha ha, I need you to sign this.
Well, first off, it wasn't a joke, and you can have a beer can crush on your head without dying like a baby with SIDS. That means you're welcome in my soiree. Secondly, I didn't know pizza peasants could read and write. Thirdly, I'm not paying you. This can be your yearly tax. And fourth, help me drag this passed out party person out the doorway.
You already paid online. She looked at me with daggers in her eyes.
Peasant! This is my time-accurate toga erasure. That means if you want to stay, you'll follow my house rules. The Delta Upsilon Mu rules.
I assisted her in moving the passed-out guy out from over the door jamb. I don't intend to stay. I'm just delivering a pizza.
But how can I enjoy all your hard work on the Etruscan pizza farms if you're not here to partake in our feedback?
The receipt that I need you to sign has a survey on it. I will give you that survey after you sign this copy.
Okay, fine. A deal then.
She then produced a Sharpie marker.
Any party guest that commits a party foul, such as passing out with their footwear still adorning their feet, will suffer the consequences in the form of a rude expletive posted on their forehead. Write on him, and I'll write on your coiled parchment.
I sighed, but I knew it would get me out of this situation, proving I was cool. I was very wrong about that, however. But I said, "When in Rome," and took the Sharpie from her. I did indeed write a very rude word on his forehead.
Marvelous! Marvelous! Oh, and he is one too, isn't he?
Probably, but can you sign this now?
After one beer.
I can't drink right now. I need to drive after this.
One beer for me, silly subject. I can't write sober. Why, my most profound scribbling comes when I'm really shitted. Or right after almost getting caught dusting a subject's knuckles in public.
Whatever, grab a can of beer real quick then. We entered the party house together and she took care in shutting the heavy door behind me. However, it was cold, so I wasn't too concerned at the moment. Inside, we both dropped our bags of pizza. She withdrew a small, curved dagger from the small of her back. Its handle was covered in jewels.
A gift from Dad. He's a senator. It's from Constantinople.
She grabbed a can of natural light.
You've never done this, huh?
She was actually correct. I had never shotgunned a beer. She had such a clear read on what would annoy me and what would pull me back in. This was an odd temptation. A chance to, if only for a moment, have something I never got to experience. She stabbed the side of the can near the bottom. She extended the can firmly, the inertia sloshing beer onto my uniform.
One can't hurt, can it?
Can it?
Can it?
I took the can, and she prepared another with a low stab wound.
Okay, I know this is your first time, but it's just like stabbing a prostitute, popping her tab, and then drinking her pee. Ready? Go!
I popped the tab and focused on relaxing my body and let gravity do the work. The liquid was ice cold, but it warmed my bones. It felt like I could easily drink 10 more of them despite that not being a good idea. I could drive on one beer, as ill-advised as that was, but that had to be the limit. That had to be the limit. Okay, I said, catching my breath. I really need you to sign this now. She took the receipt paper and stabbed it to the wall and proceeded to sign it. She capped the pen and extended her hand, palm down, pinky up.
Little boots. Ignore what I wrote on that paper. That's my Republic name. My friends call me Little Boots. LB for business, Little Boots for bitches, Big Boots for little boys with big britches. I don't know which one you are, so let's stick to Little Boots for now. And you are?
The pizza guy that's leaving. Her laughter was piercing, like being injected with a numbing poison before being wrapped up in a spider's web, like losing the fight-or-flight instinct and letting the death wish take over, like I was drunk. She got real close to me and whispered in my ear.
Couldn't let you hitch up your wagon and ride on out of here drunk. What kind of host would I be?
One natty light. Why am I drunk?
Look at your hand, scrub. Chaos New England IPA. 13% alcohol by volume. Do the meths. You have to find the meth guy first, and he's elusive. So in the meantime, do the math. You can't drive out of here like that. I mean, think, Mr. Pizza Ninja, in your corny-ass work outfit. Will you get fired for getting drunk on the job once? Just once. I mean, you're the pizza delivery guy. No one expects anything from you. Except me. I see something inside you. Something that should be let out.
It was one natty light. It was just one can of natty light. She pulled out a pizza box and grabbed a slice.
12 ounces of 5.9% ABV. Are you on the new male diet? Anyway, great pate, but I gotta motor it if I want to be ready for that horse show. I mean, seriously, that horse goes and then it's done. Terrible refractory rate for an Arabian horse. Toodles!
She gently pressed the back of her hand against my lips and vanished into the crowded toga party. Not sure if it was a frat or sorority house. Behind me was a wave of skinny freshman-looking dorks picking up the pizzas and hauling them away. To my left, a room full of flirting and conversation, overwhelming after being socially isolated for so long. To my right, a kitchen with games of beer pong and beer bongs and things of that nature. In the front of me was a hall and a stairway, both flushed with people. I couldn't navigate any of this. Then there was a slap right across my face that took any blurriness from the alcohol away.
Hey, are you expecting a map? Get lost and say yes to whatever happens. All roads lead to Rome. Now make yourself a good guest and mingle, plebeian.
Frankie, I announced as she was already pushing people out of her way so she could walk down the hall. What happened next was basically a triumph. I was tackled by a gaggle of attractive women and one feminine-looking dude. They robed me up and stripped me naked at the same time. The whole action must have taken 15 seconds. Everyone was already so wasted and jovial that introducing myself was effortless. It was like I was playing flip cup and in beer bong and flirting with some women and cracking jokes. It was easy. I mean, hardly ever was I able to socialize at parties like this, but I was just vibing out and holding on to my liquor. I roamed around this impossibly big party when someone suggested I check the other floors, so I tried to shuffle past all the party people hanging out in the stairs going up. Only halfway up did I realize one woman was up another woman's toga in a major way. Still, I squeezed past and searched for some fun on the second story. Then I found a bathroom, and before I could use it, I found a gimp in yellow leather, gagged and tied in the bathroom shower. This gimped-up person of indeterminate gender was not only gagged, but blindfolded and deafened by some big BDSM headphone things, arms strapped behind their back, and moaning like crazy. Also, they were clearly covered in urine. One could assume that a reasonable person would have a conversation about consent with this gimp, but I wasn't so sure. Before I could piss, I ungagged this mystery submissive shower slave, and instantly they tried biting me. Their legs bound together, they crawled around the bathroom like a worm, looking to bite me. In the process, just biting off the cover of a magazine, a full can of beer left behind, biting into it, liquor going everywhere. The porcelain of the toilet, anything and everything was getting bitten. I scrambled over the shower stall to the sink counter and avoided the loud chomping teeth. That's when Little Boots saved me by busting the door's lock off and swiftly kicking the golden shower lamprey in the gut multiple times.
Delta Upsilon Mu rules. Never lock a door. What if I invite in someone dangerous like a vampire or a Turk and I'm not there to save you?
Who is that?
That's Skilla in the genderless bathroom demon. Liquids go on and never in, Skilla. I mean, do whatever you want, but some pets are uncooperative, as a matter of fact.
She said this while re-gagging this wheezing gimp. Did Skilla consent to being in this situation? Little Boots, in a surprising feat of strength, picked up and threw Skilla into the shower stall again. Only then cracking a beer open and pouring it on the beast as it squirmed and moaned. It was unclear if it was happy moaning or not. Pained for sure, but maybe I just leave this alone lest I get bitten.
Skilla killed my favorite little kitten in a gladiator tournament. This is punishment. Skilla is my new piss kitten. They love hot and cold sensations. It's sensory overload for them. Come on, code Skilla.
Hey, whoa, that's not my thing. I think I'll just use the toilet. Little Boots took out her dagger and placed it at Skilla's neck.
Either you warm this kitty up, or it'll be the last time this kitty has any warmth ever.
Jesus Christ, are you psychotic?
Do I seem psychotic?
Yes you do.
You're not acting like I'm psychotic. If you did, you'd just do as I say. That or you don't value the life of Skilla here. Either way, grab that beer beside you and open it. Now, pour that beer down the toilet there.
I did as she said, afraid of the outcome if I didn't.
See, that's what you're doing. Flushing the party down the toilet. Don't fail me next time.
She pulled the knife away from the yellow gimp's throat, sheathed it, and exited the bathroom by walking over the broken door on the floor. I sat down on the toilet in total shock. I witnessed a woman threaten to kill a person if I didn't urinate on them. Eventually, she backed down though. I'm unsure of how long I was trying to compose myself in this bathroom left a mess by neglect and violent actions, but I was pulled back into the moment when a woman busted into the room crying, a bottle of Crown Royal in her hand. Upon asking if she was in trouble, I was told that her boyfriend was getting pegged in the ass by Little Boots as we spoke. Obviously, I asked if he consented to this, and she just cried even harder. Now, I don't know if that was her or if he didn't consent, but knife or no knife, this was getting out of control. I heard that these kind of parties have brutal hazing, but this wasn't that. This was something much more sinister. I tried to get up and hunt down Little Boots, but I was stopped by this sobbing girl, and she said that she needed someone to drink with. She clung to me and poured Crown Royal down my lips as it dripped onto my toga sheets. I insisted that I check on her boyfriend, but she pulled the bottom of my toga, tripping me and lifting up the bottom. Hey! She began to beg to satisfy me like Little Boots could satisfy her boyfriend. I ran into the hall, only hearing the glass bottle break against the wall as I got out of the bathroom. I asked around about Little Boots only to come upon a college-aged man in the middle of the ground in a state of undress, passed out with a group of party people placing sushi on his body. His forehead and arms and legs were covered in Sharpie writing. Ass-broken sushi table, prostate popped, butt-cucked boyfriend. My good senses took over, and I pushed these people out of the way to pick up this poor guy. However, before I could lift him up, I was tackled and hogtied by the party people who took off their robes and used the strings to tie up my wrists and ankles. They began to chant, "Party foul, party foul, party foul," as I was escorted to the basement, and then a basement below that one, where a crowd of people were surrounding an area that was candlelit with tall pillars. The crowd parted, and I witnessed the most startling thing: a life-size statue of Little Boots made of bronze and a UFC-style cage. I was unshackled and shoved into the cage.
Tops and bottoms, butches and dykes of all ages, our humble pizza guy has committed a number of party fouls. These charges include the following. 1. Flushing beer down the toilet for no reason. 2. Having something against sushi. 3. Can't tinkle when asked. For these 3 ultra-gay party fouls, he will face 3 battles to the death in the gladiator arena. Because the accused is weeb trash, a katana I purchased from Buck's authentic Japanese steel catalog will be provided.
A straight sword was tossed into the cage. "That's a ninjato, not a katana."
The pizza guy will face 4 beasts and warriors now.
A horse was led into the cage. A nice, docile horse.
2 men enter, the one with the bigger penis leaves. Or, ignoring that, whoever kills the other. But if someone isn't dead in the next 10 seconds, we're defaulting to the cock measuring thing. Pizza Ninja versus Tom Horse. Fight!
You want me to murder a horse?
You eat horse meat all the time.
No, I don't.
Then this must be a real moral dilemma for a vegan like you. Hurry up or you'll die.
I knew I had no options. I had to treat the unreality of this situation as though it was real. She was psychotic, and I knew things would only get worse if I did nothing. I jammed the sword into the horse's neck, and the instant that I did, I was covered in a shower of blood as I twisted the blade around, hoping it would make the death quicker, although I'm not sure I accomplished that. I might have only made it more painful. But even before I was sure if the horse was dead or not, I was proclaimed the winner, and they pulled out the dead body of the horse.
Pizza Ninja win! Don't worry, the bullets that were in that gun were fake, and no animals were harmed in the making of this horse meat. Next challenger is Charybdis, destroyer of dryness.
The most terrifying fursuiter hopped into the cage. A blue, furry mess covered in a toga and lubed up with some sort of oil, dripping and falling off of the gross faux fur. The head wasn't a typical fox head or dog head, but a garbled mess of what looked like real animal teeth that twisted and rotated as the operator inside shook their head. Like a furry, toothy Beyblade for a face. In their hand was a bottle of honey mead, and in the other, a short gladius sword. The swagger of this smelly fursuiter's hips told me that this wasn't their first gladiator battle. He threw the bottle at my face, and I managed to Johnny Depp duck and get out of the way. He chased me around with the sword in the air. This was an actual threat. My life was in danger, and I was ready to protect it, but I had no clue how. Running, kiting him around the cage was the only option I had at the time. Then I realized he probably had limited vision, so I stabbed him in the side and got the ninja sword into his ribs, much to the cheering of the crowd in the basement.
Wow, Pizza Ninja knows ninja tactics from the far east of Italy. Now, off with her head!
I wasn't interested in seeing who I just killed.
Off with her head, or your next battle will be way harder, like an exam while hungover.
Reluctantly, I took off the hideous, toothy fur head to discover that it was the girlfriend with the crown royal from before.
Now that's the second time you've rejected her this evening. Whose team are you playing for, Pizza Ninja?
She was drunk and drugged.
And cucked and now dead. What a series of status effects to experience all at once. Now, the next battle is the darkest and creepiest of all. An invention so spooky and weird that it was outlawed by Serbia and Herzegovina. A battle with honor and humanity that has seen the bravest men crumble in fear.
They wheeled a giant black cube and slowly spun it around so I could see the other side.
The reverse glory hole. The opponent gets into the box and pokes out their business and must maintain composure while they're separated from their sense of the world. They must allow their most private area to be forfeit.
I'll spare you the details, but I passed. That's just too much information. And Little Boots hopped into the cage as soon as I did pass.
One last battle with me. However, I'll offer you something you probably want. You can't win a fight against me, but I'll let you pass on this battle if you kiss my boots.
Immediately, I got to the floor and kissed her boots to the thunderous laughter of everyone in the room. I was fairly sure I wouldn't win, but if I did, it would still be risking it. I had to get out. I walked up the stairs to the heckling and jeering of everyone. I got to the front door and grabbed the signed receipt off the floor. But the door wouldn't open from the inside.
God damn it.
Key,
She said, 2 beers in her hand. She was drunker than she had been all night.
if you want out, you still have to play by my rules, and the rule of the day is drunk driving.
I grabbed the beer can from her and stabbed it with the sword and shotgunned it right then and there. She reluctantly handed me the key, and I opened the door. I dropped the sword and induced vomiting into the bush. The last thing I heard her say before she shut the door was,
"Joke's on you, I'm into that shit."
I checked on the young man that fell out of the door earlier. He was dead. I drove home, and I couldn't call the police. She was clearly connected and can get away with anything. She was a senator's daughter. Not sure if that's an ancient Roman senator or a US one. Point remains, the only way I would win against people like that is to not get pulled into their vortex of evil. I checked the receipt. Gaius, Julius, Caesar, Augustus, Germanicus. Anyway, TLDR, I survived the party of my life.
Dirty Your Mind, or The Epic of Little Boots, was written by Dead Palette. Narration by Dead Palette. Frickles as Little Boots. Art by Goofytomato. Editing, mastering, and original music by Abysme. Comprehensive links below. YouTube.com/Creepypasta is a collaborative channel. Please subscribe if you want to follow our content. If you want to support the channel, please consider liking, commenting, and sharing this video with like-minded members of the community.